Okay. Hi, guys. We're going to start over. So, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. This is your girl, Charlene, coming to you on a Monday night. Um, this is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. So, what I'm going to be talking to you about this evening is a continuation of the topic that we talked about last week, which was on control. So, if anybody can remember, um, we spoke about control and what it can do that's positive, as well as what it can do that is negative. Um, I'm not going to hold y'all real long tonight, but I always like to start out by saying that this is strictly my opinion, my thoughts, my ideas, etc., etc., which means something to me. I always say that. And it may or may not mean anything in particularly special to you, but I do thank you for like joining in and even going back to listen to this, even if you can't join in tonight, because what normally happens is that I don't get a whole lot of people on live right at that moment, but people do go back and they listen. I go back and I listen. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move forward with our topic, which is control part two. A quick recap. Last week we talked about control and how it can be both good and bad for us. The bad part is that we talked about how in certain situations, whether it's dealing with home, whether it's dealing with a relationship, intimacy with someone, and that type of control, parent child control, just different aspects of control. And I wanted to do one different thing tonight. I did kind of look up some stuff because this was part two. And I wanted to be very specific about what our definitions are and to talk about the definitions of control. So I did look up Webs in Webster's dictionary. I did go back and I looked, and it says the word control in the Webster dictionary refers to the ability to command, direct, or rule something. It can also refer to the ability to check, limit, curb, or regulate something. So when you think about control in that aspect, um, to regulate something is to fix it. So control or what have you, depending on what the situation is, can be um, someone trying to fix something, or check something or curb something. A direct way to control something is to rule it. Like, I want control of this. For instance, if you think of control in a dictatorship, in some countries they have rulers and people in place who are very controlling. They control the government, the way of life, the way people live. They control, even in some countries, the amount of children that people can have. So there's a limit. So that's a way that people can control, or things can be controlled. You can even control a population. I thought that was very interesting to look at as far as control. Um, Normally I just talk off the cuff. I don't rehearse anything or what have you. And I kind of still did that this evening, but because we had already spoken about control previously, I did go into a little bit of more of a deep dive by looking into some stuff. And I didn't really look at a whole lot, but I did more brainstorming for this particular episode. And what I thought about, it's referring to control. It's like even when somebody is on a diet or what have you. If you are dieting, that's a way of you trying to control what you're eating, you're trying to control your intake, your calories, your output, etc., etc. Um, that's a way that things can be controlled as well. So, as you can see, I'm going into, and I'll get to what I'm going to get to, but I'm just letting you see that there are different ways of controlling something, or different ways that people can think of um, when you refer to controlling something. It's not all like last week we took a little bit more of an approach like in relationships, dealing with people, two individuals, three individuals. leaderships and stuff like that. We talked about that type of a control. But this week I want to talk a little bit more about personal type controls, controlling your thoughts and things like that. So we as people, we have to remember that we have to limit the way that we think about things and what have you. And that is a part of controlling. We can control. The Bible talks about, you know, being in control of yourself. Now I'm gonna get to that in a minute as well. Um, and when you are controlling yourself or what have you, that leads to certain actions. And so now I'll get into that a little bit. And I want it to be specific when I said this to you because I want to be very sure because I'm talking about the Bible. So some of the things that the Bible said, I looked it up. There's 27 different things that the Bible talked about in reference to control. And I thought that was interesting. I will go back and read those, but the one that I took out to talk to you guys about was the fruits of the spirit, because as you all know, there are fruits of spirit, and the fruits are love, joy, peace, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and the one that I want to talk about was self control. And that's found in Galatians 5:22, 23. I didn't name all of them, but the very last one that was listed in the Bible was self control. And I thought that was very interesting because even God wants us to know that we need to have some self control. And that just made me think that everything that we talked about last week came back in full circle. So if you didn't see last week's episode, you have to go back and look at that, when we talked about control, so that you can connect these two things together, what I'm talking about tonight. So, with that being said, it's very, very important to be able to have some type of a self control. It's very, very important to be able to be mindful of the way that you are thinking about things, the way you are reacting to things, and the way that you see things. So, everybody kind of see things their own way. Okay, granted, we all are different. I talked about last week, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or vice versa. I need to really look that up because I'm saying it, but I really don't know for sure if I'm saying it correctly. But my thing is, um, we are two different entities, and I talked about twins, even fraternal twins, been in the same room, living together for 9 months and growing together, etc., but still different. So when two people are different and two people are doing things differently, then we have to be mindful that and I'm looking up something while I'm talking to you. We have to be mindful that um we have to still have self-control because our ways are not the same ways as somebody else's. And with that being said, um, I want to go back to a topic that somebody reached out to me. I can't remember who it was, but I did receive a text message and I did receive some responses back to last week's show, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And one of the things was, how do um, how do I, as a person, um, develop that type of control? When they feel like someone is gaslighting them or causing them to act a certain way. Well, the bottom line is just like in the Bible, you have to have self control. You have to have self control. There's no way around it. You have to practice self control. Okay, say for instance, if somebody is doing something and it's the same behavior, you know that they're gonna do this, and you know that if they do this, you're gonna do that. So what you're gonna have to do is change your mindset, and that's why I came up with thinking, your thinking pattern, your mindset. Change your mindset so that if somebody is doing that same thing to you, you'll be able to recognize it, and then you can go ahead and play out that whole scenario before you even open your mouth. You can go ahead and say, well, they did this and they know that's gonna make me mad. So now I'm gonna do this, and then that's gonna make them mad. And then they're gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But what you can do, you can be that big person where when they do this, You don't respond back to them in the same way. Now you are growing. You are growing. Just imagine that you are growing. And what I mean by that is that you're not allowing the circumstance, you're not allowing somebody else's action to cause you to react. Think about that. So you're not allowing that person to manipulate you, because a lot of times people do things just to see how you're going to react. And I have found it out. A person will do something to you or say something to you because they know what you're going to do. And that's just like the devil. The devil will pick at you. The devil will cause you to get out of character, etc., etc., because he knows which buttons to push. Think about that. So, if you develop that self control and learn how to not react and get that self control that the Bible speaks about, then you will not become quick. You will not be quick to anger. You're not going to get out of character. You're not going to react the way that that person wants you to react. What's going to happen? One person cannot fuss by themselves. They need somebody to react, right? So if you develop that self control and you go into that person who knows how to turn the other cheek, it can be hard, but you can do it. You learn how to turn the other cheek, look beyond that moment, and move from it. Then at the end of the day, everybody's gonna be happy. Now, I'm not telling you to let people abuse you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying let somebody abuse you with their words, their thoughts, their actions, etc., etc. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying to you is develop um, a characteristic within yourself where people will know, like, you know what, I'm not even going to go there with them because it ain't gonna do no good. They ain't gonna pay me no attention. They're gonna ignore me. They're gonna walk away. They're gonna just that and yeah. So I'm gonna be sitting there looking crazy. Now, again, when you're in a situation with whoever, whether it's at work, whether it's with your significant other, if it's your child, your parent, whoever, just learn to be the bigger person. Just learn to let it go. Just learn to let go and let God. Just learn to pray about things. Learn how to do what Jesus would do. Turn the cheek and forgive them anyway. And that's really hard because the Bible tells us to be nice even to our enemies. We know they are enemies, but we're still supposed to be nice to them. That right there is for you. And it's for the other person as well. Because now you have become that bigger person. And also it's for them because they're gonna see that they cannot move you. You're not easily shaken. Let's think about that. So, with that being said, that's a part of control, and I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about being able to control yourself, being able to control how you think, how you act, how you react, your thought processes, being able to control everything within your life and make that your way of life. Okay. Even if you are in a situation where it looks like the sun ain't gonna shine again, you can still control that situation by thinking positively, but not looking at what you don't have, but looking at what you have. Okay, you can control how you want your day to go. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. To a certain extent, you can, because you can say, you know what, that car passed me. They blew the horn at me. They stuck up their middle finger at me. But guess what? They're having a bad day. They got to be somewhere. God bless them. Take care of them. Guess what? You done took off, took that whatever they had on them and tried to put it on you. You done took it and shook it off. Okay. I was talking to one of my really good friends today, and we were talking about Christmas time and how everybody is so nice and people going out their way to buy stuff, to get food to cook, and they're trying to find clothes to wear, and they're trying to find out what they're going to do, activities, and, the hustle and the bustle. It's just here, there, and everywhere. People doing everything they can think of to make Christmas Day a great day. Can you imagine if everybody did that same thing every day? What kind of a world would we live in? Right. And Michael Jackson had a really, 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 really good thing going when he thought of the song. I'm talking about the man in the mirror. He was talking about himself. He was talking about, I ain't gonna look at what nobody else is doing. I ain't gonna worry about what nobody else is doing, what they are doing, what they're not doing. I'm gonna look at myself, see how I can be a better person. The change starts with me first. Okay. So once we get that attitude, and once we start thinking about, you know what, that's how I'm going to have self control. That's how I'm going to make a difference. That's how I am going to do what is right, by making that change, by looking at myself in the mirror, and by exhibiting and showing people that I have self control. I can control myself. Okay. Because, like I talked about last week, you cannot control nobody else. I don't care what you think. You cannot marry somebody and change them. You cannot buy their clothes and tell them how to dress. You can't buy their shoes and tell them they cute. You can't go get their hair done and tell them that you like their hair. They are going to choose for themselves what they want to do. And it goes back to what my friend said. Let people do what they want to do. Don't try to change nobody, because people are going to do what they want to do because that's what they would rather do. So you let people do what they rather do. Don't worry about it. The change starts with you. You do what you need to do. You worry about yourself. You do what you're supposed to do. And that's the end of it. That's the end of it. You can't do anything better than having self control, learning how to control your own self. That's the only person you have to worry about. Okay? Now, with that being said, I want to go ahead and end this up. I don't want to go too much longer into this, but I hope that I touched a little bit differently on the topic of self control than what I did last week, because I know I talked about um, men and women again, and I talked about parents and children, brothers and sisters, and what have you. We do try to control people to a certain extent. I have done it. Like if I want to go somewhere and it's not going the way that think that it's supposed to go, I thought that it's supposed to go. I want to control that atmosphere. I want to change it a little bit. Like, you know what? Let's do this. That might be a little bit more fun. Guess what? Because that's what Charlene wants to do. That might not be fun for the people I'm with. You get what I'm saying? So, what I have to do, if it's not fun for the people that I'm with, I have two choices. I can go ahead and do it without them, do it with them, exhibit that self control, and learn to enjoy it. I'm not saying always put yourself last. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying always put yourself first. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying learn to communicate, come to a common consensus, and then go from there. If you are trying to be in control of somebody else, or if you are in a situation where somebody has to take some leadership or what have you, just learn and see what everybody else wants to do as well. Don't just let it be all about yourself. Don't let things be one sided. And I talked about that again, so I'm not gonna go a whole lot into that. If you want to hear about that part, go back to part one. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I know it's 2 days before, well, today and tomorrow, and then it's Christmas. Tomorrow it's Christmas Eve, and I know people got a lot of stuff to do, shopping and what have you. Thank you for listening in. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you are not following me yet, just go ahead and subscribe on my channel. And after you subscribe, like it and share it. Okay, thank you. Always inbox me and text me for additional talks, what have you. Next week, I will be talking about UFOs. I'm gonna do that just for my mama because she's been asking me forever and ever to talk about UFOs. So I'm gonna get my mama on, and we're gonna talk about some UFOs. So y'all get ready for UFOs. And until the next time, have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to talk to you before the New Year's. After the New Year's, I will be doing the Wednesdays. Okay. Um, I'm doing it today because I don't want to talk on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. That's why I picked today. But next week I might be talking about UFOs because that's what my mama want to talk about. So that's what we're gonna talk about. And that's it. So until the next time, I'll see you. Bye bye. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget Galatians. Okay? Talks about self control. Bye.